very much, and I'm delighted to be here this evening. And can I thank you all for coming? I do want to address my remarks to the women, particularly in the audience, and that's not in any way to be rude to any of the men that have given up the football to come tonight. But all the polls show that actually this referendum is in the hands of female voters. And that's why Women for Independence has been formed, to make sure we're heard in the debate, to make sure that women are involved in the debate, and that we speak on platforms such as this. I want to start off with a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, who's one of my great political heroines. And she said that the battle for the rights of women is one of long standing, and none of us should countenance anything which undermines it. As a long-time feminist, I'm voting on the 18th of September to protect and to advance the rights of women in Scotland. I have spent all my life, both politically and personally, trying to empower women, and I wouldn't contemplate doing anything which would undermine the rights of women. I'm not a nationalist, and I'm not a member of the SNP. As has been said, I've been a member, or I was a member of the Labour Party for 30 years, and you didn't quite elaborate, a candidate 3 times. I'm from Motherwell, which has more tower blocks than it has salt tires. You don't need to be a nationalist to be voting yes, and I think that's the message that we've got to get out to meetings such as this. Yes, of course, the nationalists have brought us to this point, but this is a very broad church, and there are very many voices being heard in this debate. For me, it's simple. It's about equality and it's about democracy. It's about having our voices heard and standing up for our rights and actually achieving real change in the here and now in my lifetime. I think this is a historic chance, particularly for women's voices to be heard and for change actually to happen. And we have to take this chance because it's a historic opportunity. I'm 53. I was 18 in January 1979. 6 weeks later, on the 1st of March, it was the first referendum which was lost. And then in October the same year, we had 18 years of Conservative rule, which the Scottish people didn't vote for. I don't want that to happen again. And there are predictions that if the election next year is not successful for the Labour Party, we'll have another 15 years of Tory rule. Again, a government that Scotland is unlikely to vote for. So for me, it's a really basic issue about democracy.
Come on, but we had years of Labour government.
Sorry, can we take...
let's get
sorry. We'll take questions at the end.
Perhaps both ways.
I've been a Labour Party candidate 3 times. I can take hecklers, don't worry. I can take hecklers, been there, done that. Happy to take your questions, sir, at the end if you just let me progress my remarks. I was a Labour Party candidate in 1999, 2003 and 2007. And following a great deal of thought, I resigned from the Labour Party. I cannot, to you or anyone else in this room, put into words the disappointment I feel in the Labour Party and their failure to take action when they could and when they had the power to effect real change. So I think probably, sir, we probably agree more than we disagree. As an individual member of the Labour Party, I found myself under an umbrella of Better Together without any consultation. Nobody asked me my views on the matter. I was just told I was in this Better Together campaign. And having spent my entire adult life fighting against the Tories, I didn't find that a comfortable place to be. I was profoundly uncomfortable and disillusioned with the negativity of the No campaign and for the lack of imagination for the future of Scotland. I wanted the intellectual and political freedom to make up my own mind, and that's what I've done. And having done that, I want to make my contribution so that by the 19th of September, I can wake up and know, whatever the result is, I did my bit to achieve a yes vote. I disagree a little bit with the comments made before, that those who are voting no are doing so out of self-interest. Because I hesitated for quite a long time after I decided to leave the Labour Party. I couldn't see that there was an obvious place for people like me who don't identify themselves as a nationalist to become involved in the campaign. So I just wasn't sure what I should do. What I did do was contacted Margaret MacDonald, and she kindly took time out of her busy life, and she wasn't well at that stage last year, and she took me to lunch, and she explained to me that there were very many different roads to a yes vote, and a very broad church in terms of wanting an independent Scotland and why we want an independent Scotland. That we can all make our contribution in our own way, and you'll hear diverse voices up here tonight, for a better Scotland. The polls are showing that women are undecided, that they're taking more time to make up their mind. And that's proper. We have time yet until September to make up minds. And I'm glad to see there are so many women here tonight. Some of the debates that we've had on the television have been dominated by particular men. I think Professor Curtis must be making a nice wee living for himself because he's on every TV and radio programme there is. And he's predicting and telling us what the result's going to be in September. This is in our hands, and this is particularly in the women in this hall and in this country's hands to deliver this vote. It isn't for anyone to tell us what's going to happen in September. I had occasion to make a complaint to the BBC about the lack of women's voices when I heard the radio on the Sunday morning programme 3 weeks in a row for a total hour, all male voices. So having made a complaint, they now phone me up at 11 o'clock at night and ask me on to use now. And so it makes sense to take time to pause. People complain that they don't know or there isn't information. There's absolutely a wealth of information. What there isn't, and I think particularly for women, is the time to assess all that information. But we don't need to become cabinet ministers. We can make this decision in our own time, in our own way, and particularly for the women, we can do it as mothers, as sisters, as aunties, as grannies, about the future for our family, about building a better and a different future. Then we tell the politicians that we elect after we have a yes vote what kind of country we want. There will be a general election in 2016. This vote is about power and about control and about democracy. After that, there will be a whole wealth of different platforms put to you in terms of the election that will be in May 2016. I want an independent Scotland particularly to deliver greater equality and particular gender equality. I don't want empty promises, I don't want warm words, and I don't want any more disappointment. And I want greater attention for the rights of women. In my professional job the last 6 years, I've campaigned for equal pay cases, and sadly, most of those cases are against large labour councils in the west of Scotland, and the hypocrisy there has absolutely astounded me and left me, frankly, quite broken-hearted about the hypocrisy on one hand of what people say and actually what they do. All my work in life I have tried to stand up for the rights of women, and I think Women for Independence are holding meetings, they're organising cafes, they're talking to women on a one-to-one, they're engaging all sorts of, when there's a Super Saturday and a yes, you will all find that there are women involved in all those events, and I would encourage everyone to get involved in that. Sadly, in the last 6 years, the work I've been doing, over 100 women that I represent have died waiting on equal pay. I don't want to wait another 40 years, and I don't want my daughter to have to wait another 40 years before we get equal pay, before we get equality high up on the agenda. And the white paper, the SNP's proposals for an independent Scotland, do say that they're going to bring there'll be employment law, equality law, everything would be under the control of one parliament. The difficulty we have at the moment is that we have certain powers in Edinburgh, certain powers in London, and then there's a division about who's responsible for what. And sadly, on the issue of equal pay, the rights of women have fallen between both stools. I think that's a disgrace, and I want that changed. The present system has failed, and in independent Scotland it's not going to be easy, and nothing will change overnight on the 19th of September. It will be a lot of hard work. And also, I want us to address the difficulties in Scotland, the homegrown discrimination, because the cases I'm fighting are against Scottish councillors in Scotland, in the west of Scotland. There's not a Tory amongst them that's responsible for the decisions that are being made at the moment. So we have to take responsibility and sort out our own problems. We need transparency in pay, we need a statutory right to part-time and flexible working, and we need a complete review of the piecemeal discrimination laws, which we will inherit from Westminster, and seek to review them. And I've had meetings and discussions with Nicola Sturgeon that there is a commitment to advance that. We don't just need good laws, you actually need the political will to implement those laws. And I think for me, and I've got different hats on here, because yesterday I was at the launch of Lawyers for Yes. I've spoken on Ivan's platform because of the law firm in terms of business for Scotland, but you've only got so much energy, and I'm putting my energy in the direction of Women for Independence. I want to live in a Scotland that's better than this. I was 9 in 1970 when the Equal Pay Act was introduced. It's a disgrace, the slow pace of change. And for me, my political journey to Yes has been about being encouraged by the optimism, being encouraged by the creative ideas that are coming forward. Even yesterday, after our launch of Lawyers for Yes, the amount of people who were tweeting and whinging and being negative, those people who are born to rain on everyone's parade, I want us to rise up positively, to have a different debate, to have an exchange of opinion, but to take the power to shape our own country and to make a change for all of us. And for all the women here tonight, I've brought some badges. If there's enough to go around, I'll get some of the men as well. But when I've got folks and partners, I can't sack myself, or I'm not intending to sack myself. So I wear a badge every day to work in every suit that I've got. And it is such a conversation starter on the bus, in Marks and Spencer's. And that's how you win individual people over. So can I please encourage you to come and get a badge, colour of your choice, and from now to the 18th September, wear it with pride and get into conversations and encourage everyone to get involved in this debate. Thank you for listening.